Hey, I'm Jonathan. Welcome to Rather Be Riffing. So tonight on tap, I have a Juicy Bits by Weldworks Brewing Company, and it's a dialed-in beer. You can see those amplifier knobs up top, which I can certainly appreciate as a tone chaser. It's an Indian Pale Ale, and it's brewed with Citra, Mosaic, and Eldorado hops. Let's check it out. Cheers. So my last video, I did a demo of the PRS Silver Sky SE Maple Fingerboard version. So thanks a ton for everybody that's watched and commented on that video. It was a lot of fun. Welcome to any new subscribers that have come in off that video. And welcome to Michael Nielsen from Big Hairy Guitars. He's got a killer channel and recently subbed as well, so much appreciated. So my two most recent guitar acquisitions have both been S-type guitars. However, one of them is around 10x the cost as the other. So it got me curious, what is the difference between an $8,000 boutique guitar build versus an $800 mass-produced guitar? So in this video, we're gonna find out. So in this video, I will cover the specs of both the Lentz Reserve as well as the PRS Silver Sky SE. We'll talk a little bit about the story behind Lentz guitars and how I ended up with this one. And I'll do several sound comparisons between the guitars to see what differences we can hear. And I'll also do an A-B comparison of both guitars in the context of the intro music. And I'll finish off sharing my observations around what differences I experienced between playing these two guitars. And I'd love to hear your thoughts along the way as well. What differences do you hear? Which do you prefer? So let me know. So over the summer, Rose and I had the opportunity to go check out the Music Emporium in Lexington, Massachusetts. I've been following their online shop for years. They have a beautiful selection of new and used boutique guitars, as well as vintage guitars, both acoustics and electrics, as well as mandolins and basses and so on. And I especially enjoy reading their descriptions of instruments on their websites. They're extremely well written and they read like fine poetry. So big kudos to whoever at the Music Emporium is writing the copy on the web shop. You got a big fan here. So let's dive into some sound comparisons. So for this sound clip, I'm going to be using a Vemram Janray for some light overdrive. The rhythm guitar is going to be in position 4, and the lead guitar is going to be in the neck position. So let's check it out. So as we were poking through the shop, I came across this Lentz Reserve S-type guitar. It was used, and I honestly couldn't put it down after the first couple of notes I played on it. It's one of those guitars that just inspires you to play. It's super light, super touch sensitive. Whatever you put into it, you get back tenfold. And as much as I fell in love with it at first sight, I wasn't in the market for one, and I put it down and we had left the shop. And after a number of weeks, I couldn't get the guitar out of my mind. And I was trying to think up every reason not to go back and not to play it again, but I couldn't help myself. And so we went back to the shop and I put some more hours into testing the guitar out. And I had the same experience. I was completely wowed and floored. But again, I wasn't in the market for a high-end S-type build. And I was literally searching for reasons why I should not get this guitar. And after a couple of hours of deliberation, I convinced myself to walk away. And a couple more weeks went by, and I simply couldn't get the guitar out of my head. And I came up with a plan as to how to acquire it. Went back, third time was a charm, and I left the shop with the guitar. We're in December now, so I've had the guitar for several months. So I'm out of the honeymoon phase, and I've been able to really get to know it. And I'm extremely grateful and happy that it's come into my life. It's a super inspiring instrument, and I hope that that comes across in some of the upcoming sound samples. All right, so up next, I'm going to play a spanky rhythm part using the neck pickup. And I'm going to be using a tube screamer stacked with an exotic soul driven. So let's check that out. All right, so up next, we are going to move into the middle position, which I find absolutely spectacular on this guitar. Middle position's usually not the most popular position, but I find it incredibly musical on the Lentz. So let me know what you think. So what are some of the differences in specs between the Lentz Reserve and the Paul Reed Smith Silver Sky SE? With Lentz, these guitars are built by one person end to end versus an assembly line production process with the SE. You would consider Lentz, Scott, and his son to be master builders. Lentz guitars have been around for 40 years, where the experience level is likely far less than that in terms of factory line production on the SEs. The wood selection on the Lentz guitars is world class. Here we have a one-piece ash body that's been cabinet aged for 25 years and been specially selected for its tonal properties. And it's super lightweight. The SE is made out of poplar. I don't know for sure, but I assume it's a multi-piece body, and it's noticeably heavier. And with the Lentz, you can notice the neck here is a highly figured maple. And very beautiful and iridescent 3D quality. And at Lentz, they go through great lengths to match the neck with the body for maximum resonance. With the SE, we have just a plain maple neck, and there's no wood matching happening in a factory line context. The Lentz has a very thin nitro finish. This one's in translucent Mary Kay white, which allows that ash figuring to pop. And this one's already developed some weather checking on the back, which I think is cool. The Silver Sky SE is finished in poly. You can sense that it's a thicker finish than the thin nitro on the Lentz. Poly will not weather check like the nitro. That's one advantage if you're not a fan of checking. With the Lentz guitars, they wind their own pickups, and they also wind each pickup specific to the guitar being built. So there's not necessarily a standard wind spec, but rather they want to maximize the voice of each individual instrument with custom wound pickups. The caps on this are new old stock paper and oil, and they also match the caps to the potentiometers as well to maximize the tonal recipe. And on the Silver Sky, you've got the Silver Sky SE pickups. These are great sounding pickups. However, versus the Lentz, these are not matched to every specific guitar. They're just a standard production spec that goes into each and every guitar. And then lastly, when it comes to the setup, the fretwork, the nut work, the Lentz has everything you would come to expect from a boutique master built instrument. The fretwork is flawless, the nut work is flawless, the tuning stability is flawless, the playability, intonation, touch sensitivity, all wonderful on this instrument. And while the SE is a very good guitar, the fretwork is nowhere near the same level. There's lots of frets that weren't fully polished. A lot of the ones I had additioned when I had purchased this one had sprouted fret ends. Some of them, the nuts weren't cut perfectly and strings were getting stuck, creating some tuning issues. So I had to try a bunch and find one that was done right, but even this one has some flaws. All right, so let's go into the quintessential position 2 for that Strat quack. I'm gonna be using a clean tone with a Cali 76 compressor and a TC Electronics stereo chorus. So in this next piece, I'm going to toggle through each pickup combination in the context of a little motif that I composed to give you a sense for the range of tones all in one go. And you guessed it, I'm running my Vemram Jan Ray for some light overdrive. So up next, let's check out how the guitar's volume pots respond to a fuzz tone. I'm going to be stacking my Vemram Janray with a Burkos Effects third stone fuzz. I'm gonna start out in the neck position with the volume around 6, and then I will switch to the bridge, roll the volume up to 10. You'll hear that fuzz start to really kick in. And I should note on both guitars, the bottom tone control is dedicated to the bridge, middle tone is dedicated to the neck and middle pickups. So I'm running the bridge tone control around 2 to warm up and thicken up the tone. Let's check it out. So up last, I wanted to do an A-B comparison of both these guitars in the context of a mix. So we'll use the opening track, and I'll switch between both guitars for the guitar solo. So let's check out what differences that reveals. All right, so for this last section, I want to finish off with sharing my observations about these guitars. And so for the Lentz, these have a reputation for being the best of the best when it comes to a boutique S-type build, and I truly believe they live up to the hype. The build quality is flawless, the materials are flawless, the guitar is incredibly alive under the fingers, notes jump off the fingerboard in all registers. It's a true joy and inspiration to play. Listening back to the sound samples, I was also surprised. I didn't think that it would be as big of a difference as it was. All pickup positions sounded like quintessential Strat tones. They sounded like a record to me. So if you're looking for the best of the best, you have the budget for no compromise, I highly recommend checking out a Lentz. As for the Silver Sky SE, this is a really great sounding guitar, and especially for the price, it's very hard to beat this. This guitar is not going anywhere. I still have really enjoyed playing it, and it had not been for trying the Lentz, I would have been none the wiser in terms of there being a better Strat tone out there. So highly recommend the Paul Reed Smith Silver Sky if you're looking for a killer Strat option for less than $1,000. So that wraps up the video for now. Thanks a ton for watching. Do let me know in the comments below what observations you had, which guitar did you prefer, what are your thoughts? If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you enjoyed the content, please consider liking or subscribing. That would help get it out to others that may enjoy it as well. And in the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Cheers.